You're listening to the Timey-Wimey Tea Time Extras, a GeekyAntics.net experience, where the lovely and amazing people who talk about Doctor Who every Saturday talk about anything. Warning, the conversations in our extras may be NSWF. We're rating it MA for mature audiences only. This content may be unsuitable for children under 17.
Timey-Wimey Tea Time.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Timey-Wimey Tea Time XTC. This is the extra show, the bonus show. I think XTC works. We were saying XYZ, but XTC I think rolls off the tongue better. So let us know what you think.
Or rolls down the tongue better.
Oh, that's true. But yeah, this is a bonus episode, and we got Matt Bradford back, as you can hear in the back in there.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi everyone.
Due to popular demand, the people wanted you, man. They were asking, "Where's Matt?"
Is it? I only saw one comment asking about me.
Yeah.
I think there was more than one.
There were definitely
So my mom was on there, and my dad was on there, and then my fake account. So yeah, all right, cool.
Hey, that's not too shabby. You know, mom and dad does YouTube.
That's true. No, that's actually a lie. My parents would not understand how to do YouTube.
Yeah. I'm surprised. My mother finally figured out how to work a tablet, and she's been hooked on. I think she got roped into Candy Crush, actually.
I 2 months ago finally got my parents on Wi-Fi, and before Wi-Fi, they thought it was like a product. Like I kept saying, guys, you got to get on Wi-Fi. They're like, oh, we don't want to buy that. We're fine with our Wi-Fi. I'm like, no, guys, this is like. It's like going from corded phones to cordless. It's just the way things are going, and they didn't understand the concept of Wi-Fi. They thought it was like a whole new type of internet. So that's the stuff I'm dealing with on a daily basis.
That makes me think of the rise of these fake news sites, and how there was this one piece that went out about how the government's regulating Wi-Fi and charging for access to it. And people were actually believing that. It's like, Wi-Fi is not like a global thing. It's localized, so there's no way someone could regulate it like that. Like, they act like Wi-Fi exists everywhere, and it's the same Wi-Fi connection.
It's just one satellite beaming Wi-Fi onto the world.
Yep. Oh my gosh, people fell for it. So there's so much misinformation in media now, and that's the bad part of social media, getting that ignorance out faster.
Well, if you use Facebook, all I ask is that if you see a story and you're about to share it, do 2 seconds of research into that story and find out A, if it's real, it's not a satire, and it's not stupid. Because there's a whole Ebola stuff going on right now. Everyone's posting every single story about someone getting tested for symptoms of Ebola. So my Facebook is like documenting the end of mankind, apparently, just because everyone thinks the world's ending.
Oh, and the missing children stuff.
Yeah, and half of that is fake, unfortunately, which means the real stuff gets buried because everyone shares the fake stuff.
Didn't you have a friend that was missing?
I did, yeah.
What happened?
It's not a good outcome. I don't really want to talk about it.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, hold on. You have to tell me if he's alive.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So just took this to a very dark place.
Well, it was a friend of a friend in radio, and she lives out a long distance away, and you know, stuff like that, I knew it was real, and I knew Canadian, you never know who's going to look on it, and since we shared the same network, and I knew a lot of people who lived where she lived, I thought by sharing it, you know, I'd reach those people, but anyways, it didn't end up well at all, so.
Man.
So that's why it's important to share those things, absolutely, but
Right.
There's so many of these other ones where 2 seconds, you really like go to Snopes or something like that. It's just it's clickbait, or it's just something to get likes, and it's ridiculous.
That's a shame. It's a shame. I think the speed at which information travels right now is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because we get desensitized so much, and we tend to tune out things.
Right.
That's actually one of the flash fiction pieces I was gonna work on and then get around to it in time for today's show.
It's also good for trolling though, because you know Sean Freeman, our good friend Sean Freeman. I knew he was gonna do it too. I sent him like a link saying Walking Dead makes exclusive app for iPhone 6. Since we all know he's like a huge iPhone 6 like nerd, and I knew he wouldn't read it, but immediately it went on his Facebook like, "Here's the link," and it was a link to a Rickroll video, right? So I'm just like, that's it, Sean. That's why I don't trust you when you post iPhone stuff, because you just take anything that comes to you.
Oh man, check the source.
It came from a trusted source.
Yeah, well,
So that was a hard thing.
You know, you got a good point though, Stan. It came from a trusted source, but still, click on the link. Everything you post represents you, right? So.
Right.
That's how viruses spread, because it's social engineering. They use the trust that other people have built together, and get in like that.
Stan's right though. Sean should be able to trust things I sent him, but when it comes to iPhone 6, maybe not.
You taught him, man. You
I
schooled
taught him well. Don't trust me.
But by the way, I'm rude. Since this is definitely as raw as it comes. I forgot to completely forgot to introduce Stan. But you guys know Stan, the poetic voice, the sexy poetic voice of Gallifrey.
Hey.
We don't have to go there today.
Oh, but the ladies love it.
I think they like Matt too, because I think the people missing Matt were women.
Mm.
That's awesome. I'm gonna steal some of Stan's rants.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's I can't do anything with that.
There's plenty of fish in the sea.
I know, but I hung up my rod a long time ago, Stan.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, not yeah. Well,
we know what you meant.
I still dip from time to time. That's all.
Yeah.
It's ice fishing up here, though. In Canada.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Canadian ice fishing. Well, I really, at least to visit you sometime, because I really would like to learn how to do curling properly.
I actually curled. Yeah, I can teach you.
I'm good with the brooming part, but the rest is elusive.
What is curling?
It's exhaustive. It's you've never seen curling, Stan? Seriously? Okay, very quickly, because I know it's a tangent. So it's a sport where you got a long strip of ice, and at the end of the ice you got like a bullseye type diagram. And your job at the other end of the ice is to push a large rock down that ice with just the right speed and angle and spin that it lands in the middle. And each team takes turns doing this, but you can knock the other rocks out of that bullseye. So the score is determined by where the rocks are on the very last rock shot. So you spend the whole game knocking people out of position, trying to position yours so it can't be hit out of position. And while you're doing it, the rest of your team, like Yogi said, are sweeping. So as soon as you let that rock go, they have to go down, they have to follow it and sweep in front of it, sweep the ice to make it warm. So it either slows down, because if it's warm ice, it'll slow down, or they stop sweeping, so it's cold ice and it'll go faster. It's exhausting. It really takes a lot out of you.
Sounds like work, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I thought it was a lame sport until I tried it, and I was so, at the end of the day, I couldn't move my arms. I had a newfound respect for it.
Well, it's also a very good way for people to train their housewives,
Wow.
Extreme sweeping.
Wow. Extreme sweeping.
I'm kidding. I am kidding.
Ladies, Yogi here.
Well, men and women alike can get good at the sweeping, We have
a vacuum. We don't do much sweeping.
Yeah, but still, there's some times when sweeping is better than vacuuming.
Okay.
There's certain nooks and crannies you can get into even with the proper edge tool and with the vacuum.
We're going deep into sweeping.
Yeah, man, going deep on the sweeping.
Going deep on the sweep.
So, we'll get to something more structured now. I know some folks are waiting for us to stop the banter. Banter's all right, as long as it's within a controlled environment. I like to call it organized chaos, right?
Are you a self-hating banterer, Yogi? It sounds like.
No, I'm not. I'm not like a Hitler of banter or anything. I like banter. I'm a proponent of banter, but it needs to be like a limit. No.
Yeah, well, you've heard my podcast. Sometimes it's 2 hours of banter, so if you don't stop me, it's not going to stop. So
wait, which one?
Well, mostly VGO.
Yeah.
Outsiders, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock at L Games Network. Zombie Cast, we have a little more structure.
Yes.
Because we have guests, so we have to have structure, right?
Yep.
Even that can go on a tangent sometimes.
No, you guys have a good formula there. It's fresh, and raw enough that it doesn't sound scripted or robotic. But, you have the structure in place so you respect everybody's time when you have guests on or have specific things to do. That's important. You gotta have that.
We got some news there, too, and stuff. So Zombie Cast, 8 o'clock p.m.'s allgames.com.
Word. And you haven't checked out our live shows on All Games yet. We're in that weird slot, Saturdays at noon. It's a little tough for people.
That is me looking after my son days, Saturdays.
Yeah. I know.
Wifey's at work. So have you tried listening to a podcast with a 2-year-old? It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. You gotta go mobile with it. That's what I do. I multitask.
Have you tried listening to a podcast at all in any form with a toddler? I don't think it doesn't work.
You'll get better at it. This is your first one, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
So yeah.
Happy. You have one who's retired now, don't you?
I'm not that old. One that's retired, collecting the Social Security checks and helping me pay for my retirement home.
I remember I was talking to Yogi one night. He's like, "Yeah, my kid has a car." I'm like, "Your kid has a car?" I'm thinking like a little Tonka toy car. No, he's like what, 40 years old or something like that now, or something.
Oh yeah, we were talking about how yeah. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine too. Just people getting expensive cars. It's like, oh, I got a good deal on it. Yeah, but now you're gonna spend a lot more money with the maintenance. It's not practical.
It's not practical.
Yes, that's me being the tough love parent. I'm like, you really shouldn't do that. It's like, why can't you be happy for me? Because I know it's gonna come back to bite you later on, and then I'm gonna pay for it. It always does. That's what happens.
Sometimes you gotta live.
Yeah. That's the only way most of us learn is just kind of falling in our faces and then, saying, it sucks. Right? So let's go into community stuff. So, every time we do TWTT, we usually read some comments and play some voicemail messages. Because the community is a big part of our experience, whether we're doing these extras, or we're doing the main show. So, or the post-show or pre-show. I mean, we got a lot of video clips already. I think we have over 30 videos on YouTube already.
Cray-cray.
7 cray-cray.
Cray-cray.
8 episodes in the end, if you count this as well, and 30 videos. That's crazy. That is cray-cray.
It's awesome.
So we got a comment here that I wanted to share. There's a lot of comments that we probably won't get to because they're just coming so fast, but we at least reply to them. Make a best effort to respond in meaningful ways. But this one in particular, piqued my interest because I think it's central to the kind of stuff we talk about. So B Partner wrote on YouTube, "A good podcast has everything that makes a story good. You're almost there." So let's discuss that, because we actually, before we were supposed to get the show started about 20 minutes ago or so, and then we got into a big discussion about social media and podcasting and how you have to have goals and everybody has a different approach. And then we talked about transparency versus privacy and all these little things there, right? So it's kind of connected because, and I think it kind of depends on your goals. And Matt, you were saying kind of, for you, podcasting is a good, it's just kind of like a way to catch up with old friends, you know.
I think to me, podcasting has and probably always will be more of the thing I do outside my job. I think there's you can podcast because you want it to turn into more of a career. With me, I think it's just something I do at the end of the day to kind of just handle the stress a little bit, just to get together with people I know, chat about stuff that we have a common interest in, and hey, it gets recorded and it gets out there. And so in that respect, when the podcast is done, it's usually I'm out of podcast mode, right? Whereas I know with you guys, I mean, when the podcast's done, that's when the real work begins with the retweeting and the social mediaing and the networking and stuff, and that's fantastic. And I probably should do more of that, but it's just like a flick goes off in my head, like, okay, podcast time over, back to real life kind of thing. So neither way is good or bad. I think you can go into it for different reasons. What do you guys think?
Stan, you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. The question for me is why are we podcasting, in the sense that why are we sharing it with the public, and what is our responsibility, and what I don't know, what's the purpose of it? So this is not a criticism. This is just a question.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a deep conversation about art, but does an artist make art for the public, or does an artist make art for himself? And if the public likes it, that's fantastic.
That's a modern answer.
Yeah.
It is a modern answer. And the kind of artists that say that will never achieve a Da Vinci or Michelangelo status.
Yeah, well, but I mean, if you look into those histories, I think the Da Vinci's and stuff, they were basically artists who did their own thing until they got discovered.
No. Sorry.
They retweeted their paintings to everything.
No, their greatest works were commissioned.
They were commissioned by extremely wealthy people to impress others.
Okay, well, I mean, let's take an extension of that argument then with this podcast. But no, I mean, like, if you guys are podcasting to be famous, what's the national? What is your end goal? Where would that point be for you guys?
These are all good questions. Let me interject here, because there's a lot of tangents here that obviously we won't have time to get into. But I've actually written an article on this. It just so happens over at GeekyAntics.net/blog. So you guys want to check that out. I'd like your feedback there, Matt. See what you think about that. But so let me just say this real quick. I appreciate Stan's side and Matt's side. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Oh, you're being very Canadian about this, Yogi.
No, seriously, I am.
No, because Yomar really is in the middle between.
Yeah.
Because, all right, as an artist, I believe in the love and the artistry of your work first, right? On one side, I believe in the passion and love of an artist, all right, and just doing something because you love it, and I think that should be first and foremost. But I also realize that there's a certain sense of responsibility to the community. Once you put something out there, it becomes almost a public service and a responsibility, a commitment that you have to meet. You know,
what does that responsibility entail, though?
See, that I think depends on the person. Like, some people, all they do is get together, and it's like they just kind of banter aimlessly, and for some reason they record that and share that with the world, but they don't care about building community. So on that side, I understand what Stan's saying. Is like, what's the point of putting it out there if you're not going to make some kind of attempt to follow up with people, build relationships, maybe improve your audio quality? Like, it doesn't have to become a job. It doesn't have to be your career. But why not have it tie into everything else you do?
I think you hit it. I think the question is, why not? I don't think it's a responsibility issue. I mean, for me, I wouldn't waste time putting out like a product that's not something I put out there publicly, I always want to be good, and I always want to improve on it. But it's if someone just wants to get on and record something, like I did that. I had a Twin Galaxies podcast a few years ago. Just me and a couple buddies from Twin Galaxies. We just talked. It was one of the funnest times of the week for me. When it was done, I put it on the website. But my theory was I already had fun with it. People are going to listen. If they like it, they'll tell their friends, and it'll build organically. And I kind of just trusted in that process. And I didn't feel responsible for finding it a bigger community because it wasn't my baby. It was just something I did for fun. So maybe I just don't take it as seriously yet. But that's not true because I take what I do with Somnicast and I don't know. It's very conflicting. Look at the co-hosts of Video Game Outsiders. Neither of them have Facebook presences.
Yeah.
Neither of them really do any Twitter. And that continues to grow. Like, VGO continues to grow. And they build their community by just doing what they do every week and making that product great, but not really banking it with much.
That's true, but it's also been a 8+ year kind of grind for them, hasn't it?
What do you mean?
Haven't they been doing it for like 8 years plus now?
Yeah, but for both of them, the podcast isn't their focus. It's an outlet to talk about video games every week, right? So I think you can have podcasts like that where it's just an outlet and not something they're trying to make into something bigger.
See, like I'm kind of conflicted about it because, like, actually, VGO is a good example of something I don't like. Like, they've already set the expectation that it'll be like weekly, and now like every other week they're canceling. I feel that's kind of bad. Like, there is a certain sense of responsibility. Like, people already are
they're not
hoping
responsible for their community.
Yeah,
that's kind of sucky.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sucky. Like,
is it sucky though? Because they've provided thousands of hours of entertainment for the absolute price of zero.
But that's what they set out to do.
Yeah, but I don't think it's sucky at all. It's John's baby, right? I mean,
no, because if you're my friend, okay, we hang together. Mm-hmm. I hang with your family. We have dinner together once a week, and then I show up at your house, and you're like, "No, we're not having dinner this week." So, okay, dude, that's all right, man. You're busy, whatever. And I show up next week at the same time, and you're like, "No, we don't have dinner together this week. I'm having dinner with the Joneses." Mm-hmm. Dude, you just rejected me.
I don't think it's. What if I gave you a week's notice and said, "Hey, this week and this week, I'm going to be busy."
That's okay.
But that's what we do. I mean, it's very rarely that a show won't go on. It's usually because someone's in the hospital, aka John. But 9 times out of 10, that was the reason between, I think, one of the most recent ones about a month ago. But 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of heads up either on the VGO show itself. We'll just say, hey, we're not on next week. And there's in the shout box and stuff like that, too. It's very, very rarely that it'll come to the day of and there's not a show.
Yeah.
I think as long as you give the heads up, that's fine.
Yeah.
If just like I feel like about our schedule for Saturdays, it's like I've got to be there pretty much no matter what. Okay, if there's a health issue or a family emergency, But of course, I'm going to get on social media and I'm going to pump it out there that, hey, I got this going on. It's like, I miss you guys. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
But there is a tendency, and I'm not talking about VGO or anybody else that we really know, but, people set schedules and they say they're going to be on because, it is their thing, and then they don't show up, and it's like,
Yeah, that's annoying as a listener, but really, what's the huge
it also destroys the reputation of the network in the sense that, people are going to ultimately start saying, hey, GeekyAntics is they got flakes.
Yeah,
that could be a problem.
I mean, if you're treating it, but again, that's when you treat it like a business. And of course, if you're treating it like a business,
well, all games treats it like a business, doesn't it? Somehow.
In a sense, I mean, there's all games has it so that if you tune in, there's always something going on. So if a show cancels, there's going to be something else playing in instead. So
okay.
People always have entertainment. But a business pays its employees, too, let's not forget. And no one gets paid at all games. And unless you guys are doing great, I don't think people get paid at GeekyAntics yet. So there's also that side of it, too. Like, if people are doing this as a hobby, you can't get too mad at them if sometimes they flake out. Especially if it's, you know, if they're pursuing this as more of their hobby, and when they do get on, they're putting out great products that people aren't paying a dime to listen to, then you got to kind of give them a little leeway. Just know that, you know, this is the hobby to them. So if they're going to drop the ball a couple times, it's not because they disrespect anybody. It's because they have lives outside their podcast too, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I don't think a labor of love has to be mutually exclusive from a project that has a deliberate direction. It's just a different kind of pacing. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why more podcasts can be something that's fun, a good reason to catch up with friends, an outlet for your, you know, to vent or your creativity, whatever your goals are. But then also over time build up something more significant or tie it into everything else you're doing. I don't see how that has to be two separate paths.
No, I don't either. I completely agree you can do that. I think at issue is whether or not it's a responsibility that you have to grow it over time, or if you don't, that you're somehow living up to like the artist credo or something like that. I think that's the main point of contention between us. I think it's possible for someone to just do something just for poops and giggles and not feel responsible for the audience. Just be like who, this is gonna sound bad, but who wrote Catcher in the Rye?
Oh gosh.
J.D. Salinger.
J.D. Salinger. Do you think he put out an amazing book and people are like, why don't you write more? But he didn't. He just did his own thing. Do you think he did the world a disservice?
If he had a message to tell the world,
yeah.
Did he tell it? Is that all? If that's all he had to say, okay,
Yeah.
it's all right. So I don't know. Yeah, you know, I agree with you that your sense of responsibility to growing your audience, that has to do with your goals.
Right.
You know, and all of our goals can be different. I mean, even my goal is not to be famous. So I do have a responsibility to the relationship I do feel a huge responsibility to the relationship with the community, whether it's in the podcasting or it's in social media. So, for example, I've done it, if I bail out on social media for a month or two, I mean, I feel bad.
yeah, fair enough.
Because that's it, and I've heard feedback. It's like leaving them in the dust.
Yeah.
As long as you keep them in the know. I mean, you always want to respect your audience. I mean, I never want to disrespect. That's a large part of why I come back to podcasting, because it is a good community that's out there. And sorry, we won't drag this out any further. But yeah, just to me, when it's over, I'll talk to listeners throughout the week if they approach me. But maybe it's just me. I didn't grow up with social media as much. I just don't feel compelled to.
I don't think it's a social media. I don't think it's a social media thing. I think it's a matter of managing expectations, for lack of a better phrase. And it's an opportunity that we see not just in podcasting, but also blogs that people have, websites, business ventures. You know, there's people that create businesses and they still have an attitude of this is my thing, but it doesn't exist without the audience. It doesn't exist without consumers. You know, you can't have product without consumers that are enjoying the product.
Yeah, but listen to the words you're using: product and business and consumers, right? So again, it's how are you approaching what you're doing. If
you still do it as an art, it still matters, because you have to manage that expectation, right? You have to say right off the bat, this is something we just do for fun, and you have to be consistent with that messaging, whether you say it verbatim or you communicate in other manners, like through your actions or the efforts you do beyond the podcast or during the podcast. You know what I mean? I think that's important. There's that level of responsibility of consistently communicating that expectation. It's important because, again, if it was just for you, then wouldn't you just do it with, meet up with friends or do a record it for yourselves to enjoy it and not populate it, pollinate it throughout the internet? You see what I'm saying?
No, you're right. There is an element of us wanting people to listen, but I mean, sorry, but if
we're going deep. I don't know what's going on tonight. Good Lord. Some bad juju in there. I don't know. Alright, so Stan, what were you saying about what makes a good story?
I don't know, where was I?
it's going really good, too.
Thanks, man.
I only caught the very beginning, and then all of a sudden I got the dead air. I was like, am I talking to myself again?
Oh, man. So where was I? I don't know. What makes a good story? Or what makes a good story interesting?
Yeah.
So it's got to, it's got to capture the attention of the audience. And it's got to do that by speaking to the things that the audience cares about. And hopefully we care about them too, or else we won't be speaking convincingly about them. I don't know. Games, love, happiness, whatever. And the other thing, as a writer, since we're supposed to be talking about creative writing once in a while, and we never do, well, almost never do, is that the reader or the audience experiences the story as more or less real and meaningful as a consequence of how the writer arranges the events of the story, because that creates tension, transformation, and resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to do that in podcasts to make a more interesting podcast? To get away from, let's try to get famous. No, let's talk about the art of the podcast. So do we have to arrange the events of a podcast to make it more meaningful? I don't know. I'm new to this. I mean, in writing, I would argue really vehemently that, yes, I mean, if you don't get the dramatic arc right, your story is not going to be as wonderful as it could be.
Yeah.
I think the format of a podcast lends itself a little bit to more just like hopping in a car and just saying, we're heading towards this general direction, but there's lots of roads that lead away from here. So if we end up in
road trip,
if we end up in a ditch next to some shady motel, oh well, there's always next week, right? And I think that's the kind of philosophy I go into it with. That you always got to have a map. You always got to know where you're trying to go. But unlike a book where you're saying like this is a story, and you're probably not going to read another one from me in a long time, so it's very structured and a very guided experience. I think podcasting lends itself to be like experiments from week to week, really. And I think some of the best podcasts I've listened to, even the professional ones, are the ones that just, they have some really bad shows sometimes, but when they hit their stride really well, because they just give themselves that kind of freedom to kind of experiment from week to week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, notice the partner said a good story, not a good book. So stories come in different packages, right? So I think it's just important that you set the stage, create that, the expectations, and then have some kind of direction with it, not just kind of be willy-nilly about it. But as long as you set the stage and then you give some kind of key takeaway, a revelation, a plot twist of some sort, whatever, I think then you've done your job. I won't say responsibility again.
Retire that word.
It's retired. It's retired. I threw it in
Restrain
there.
yourself.
Well, the podcast, though, you're doing exactly that. You have the stage, which is the podcast, and the theme. Everyone needs a theme. You don't just want to have a podcast that's just like, hey, listen to me talk.
Right.
You have your characters, who you develop every week, who are just hopefully just being themselves. And the tension comes between, if you've got a group of characters, the tension comes between how they normally act and how they're going to react to different things that come up in that theme. So I think that's all the framework you need for a good podcast. I think the stories come out of that naturally.
I go for that. I mean, my thing with expectations is you don't want to do a complete 180. There's always wiggle room, and you can always evolve and experiment things, and that's cool. But, like, you know, you don't want to have, like, a really conservative church and then all of a sudden say, this week we're going to be a harem, you know, we're going to be a whorehouse. Here you go. What?
But to play devil's advocate, how many people would remember that week for the rest of their lives and tell their friends about that week for the rest of their lives?
It'd make a good story, sure, but it also scare a lot of people away. So that's what... You know, that's kind of what I'm getting at with the responsibilities. Like, once you set a certain expectation, you kind of have to keep up with that. You know, now that doesn't mean you just do it one episode and that's it. I think it's your habits over time, right? Mm-hmm. So people come to expect a certain level of quality, a certain kind of messaging, storytelling style, you know, different things like that. So that's what I mean by it. I don't mean like, you know, you're on a ball and chain, and it's a job, and you're committed to it forever. You got to play by the rules. It's like, no, you make the rules. That's part of the fun. Yeah. But so you know, let's
talk about Doctor Who, dude, because Matt doesn't have a lot of time left.
I was just gonna get to that. Thank you, Stan, because I was not looking at the time.
He's the guy he's the passenger seat. He's pointing at the map right
now.
Oh
no, Stan was getting answers. Let's do some Doctor Who talk finally.
Vegas by nightfall, at least, here, people.
I gotta win some money.
Yeah. I gotta bust Stan's chops. Out of love, he knows it. But I was thinking that we could play a voicemail or two before we get into the discussion. That might inspire us to discuss.
Dude, he only has like 15 minutes before his wife's gonna get upset.
No, he has like a half hour.
A half hour.
No.
All right.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, fine. Let's do it.
So Matt, this is for you. These are replays of voicemail messages we've had before. So you could think about them and see if this is kind of the stuff that you've been thinking about. 'Cause we're going to talk about Series 8 as a whole so far, right? Mm-hmm. And if we have time, we'll share some quick impressions of Episode 7, Kill the Moon. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go.
The doctor says, no castles, no damsels in distress, no such thing as a Robin Hood. Has someone or some people lost an understanding of the doctor, a larger-than-life legend? Maybe the 12th Doctor is not the only one confused about his identity. Maybe the writers are confused. Maybe the directors are confused. The Doctor is a hero. A hero does the things we long to do. A hero does what we would do if fear did not stand in our path. A hero faces great challenges because, as Stan said it, love never fails. Remember this, my friends. We all long for the heroic. We all are called to be heroes. We are called to do excellent things. And if the Doctor fails to speak to our hearts about this truth, the Doctor is no longer worthy of our attention. If the Doctor fails to be heroic, the Doctor is no longer worthy of our admiration and enthusiasm.
It's me again, Lauren from Brighton. Loved how you shared your personal experiences with fear. Very brave of you, Yomar and Stan. I can't wait to hear you guys next week.
So, Puddins, what do you really think of Series 8, Episode 4 of Doctor Who? Yup, it's Harley again. You know, your favorite sexy gotham girl with a deep sense of humor. Does fear make you stronger, faster, smarter? Or does fear make you cruel or, cowardly? Go deep with this, Kay. Kisses!
All right. So that's just getting Matt caught up with some of the discussions we've been having. So we're talking about, you know, is the
Very
doctor.
cool listeners going on there, by the way.
Yeah, man, they go deep with us, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good because they keep us from getting derailed too much. But so
Sorry.
so no, this is the purpose of this. This is good. It's a different kind of going deep.
Matt, we love you, man.
I love yours too.
That's what we're doing, a show back to back, man. And we just did a long. We were streaming yesterday for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh man, but so we've been talking a lot about whether the Doctor's still a hero or is he more of an anti-hero. And we're talking about like the recurring themes of fear and loneliness that we've been seeing in this series. Has any of that stuff struck you at all, Matt?
I mean, they touched on whether or not he's a good. Like, I feel like the whole concept of if the Doctor's a good guy or bad guy has been going on for years. But seriously, that was like a huge plot with Matt Smith, was whether or not like his history makes him a good doctor or a bad doctor. I think they might be. I think the Capaldi Doctor might be kind of showing that a bit more, showing that inner struggle a bit more. He's a lot more serious. He's a lot more quick to kind of anger and get annoyed at stuff. A lot more confused about who he is. So I think maybe Season 8's kind of digging into that a little bit more. That's just my impression so far, yeah.
I kind of feel like they put a lot of that self-doubt stuff to bed.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a different kind of burden he was carrying now. Just kind of... I feel like this 12th Doctor should be more on a journey of self-identity, because now what's left after that pain and that inner turmoil is gone,
I think that's the problem with this season for me, is I don't know what the Doctor's trying to do anymore.
Yeah.
Other than living, other than existing, this Doctor is just kind of just doing
You nailed
stuff.
it. You totally nailed it, dude.
Yeah. That we just don't know what he's just kind of...
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Moffat doesn't know what the Doctor is doing.
Right, and let's please put out of our memory this whole like Clara making the Doctor who he is subplot of that one episode, because that really ticked me off. That Listen episode, remember that?
Oh God, how yeah, yeah.
How he made him hate soldiers, and that's why he became who he is. I'm like, oh my goodness, that really struck a bad chord with me. But when I'm watching the episodes now, I don't get a consistent feel of like what I'm supposed to be rallying behind him. Just get a sense that we're watching a detour season almost, in a sense.
Yeah, like it almost feels like fan fiction.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It feels like Moffat's like, okay, let's get 12 really good fan fiction scripts and film them, because that's like what's the tie between each of them, except for this whole afterlife thing that's going on.
Well, they're weak as an overarching storyline, and also weak episodically, I feel, for the most part. I've enjoyed aspects of it, but it feels like you said, there's no direction, there's no sense of the Doctor having purpose. Yeah, he always was kind of frivolous to an extent, and a bit of a rebel, and just, he sought adventure just for the sake of seeking adventure, but now it just feels like there's no purpose whatsoever. It's kind of like, hey, let's just go here. Hey, let's just do this. All right, cool.
They are leading...
Well, go ahead.
No, go Stan.
This is what I saw with the last episode. So it came together for me, is that they were tearing the Doctor down, and they were building Clara up. So Clara was building to be a hero. And the great twist was, in the last episode, is that she hated it.
Right.
She couldn't bear to be the hero. She expected the Doctor. And the companions have always kind of represented the audience in a surrogate way. Mm-hmm. So while they tried to make Clara the hero,
so you're saying, yeah. So let's bring it back. So you said that it doesn't sit right with you the way they've built her up to be such a huge part of the story here, and then the history of Doctor Who. I mean,
yeah,
I'm kind of in the same place. They're kind of backing themselves up into a corner, and it's dangerous. I mean, for so long they've avoided going back into the Doctor's history and giving us an origin and giving us a real background on him, because they knew that that would be
Right.
going past the point of no return, right?
Well, it's also in a way leaving. I mean, it's narrowing the field for other companions, because people who follow Clara right now. Let's list what Clara's done. She's single-handedly influenced the Doctor to become who he is, saved humanity, and is like the number one most important person in the Doctor's life. Companions who follow Clara are gonna have to like do something intensely superior to that, and I just don't see where they can go.
Yeah.
Like she's done everything possible a companion can do for the Doctor.
This trend, and I hate to go there, but this trend kind of started with River Song.
Ugh, River Song.
I like, and we talked about it before, I like River Song, but I felt like she was really out of place on the show. She was just way too OP. And they started making the Doctor more of a weaker character. And I appreciate the strong female leads and making the companions more interesting, but not at the cost of having an interesting Doctor. Suddenly the Doctor goes from being a genius and very competent and knowing how to work the TARDIS to have his companions show him how to work the TARDIS and be more wise and knowledgeable than him. And it's just weird. What's he left with? Charisma?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good point. Or maybe he's just pretending to do that to develop a little bit. But, yeah, when you put all that stuff on companions, it kind of takes away from what purposes does Doctor actually serve. I don't know. I think OP is the right word for Clara right now. And anything that happens from here on in, it's kind of like, what else can she really do? Like, she's done everything.
Yeah. There's no room to grow here.
Yeah,
and she's not gone. I doubt she's gone.
It sounded like she's not happy with like the show though. It sounds like it's not like she's leaving amicably.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that before the season even started filming.
Yeah.
So that's been an ongoing thing, and it's probably Moffat scaring people away like he has before. Because Eccleston only lasted one season because of that. It's an ongoing theme.
You should pick like an alien companion for the first time in the show.
Like
Epic.
Yeah, because they need to expand the Doctor Who universe. I think it's nice to have it be a human story, but get it away from the UK, get it away from human relationships, and make it more exotic. I don't know, something.
Also, too, something I was thinking with Clara, because she always goes off on the Doctor and like tries to give him like life advice and like pretend that she knows exactly what the Doctor. This guy's like 1,000 years old. If I were the Doctor, I'd be like, "That's cute. That's nice that you're saying that, Clara. But I'm 1,000 years old. I've seen 1,000,000 planets. Your advice isn't really sticking with me right now. I'm not taking it seriously." Like, but like, how do human companions have that much sway over the Doctor when the Doctor is infinitely more wise, more experienced? He's probably just looking at these people going, "Oh, here they go again. They're trying to be all philosophical. That's cute. I'll just let them talk."
He'll just be like, "Get on my level, bro."
Yeah. So maybe he needs like someone at his level as a companion. Wouldn't that be fun? Like someone who's lived as long as him to share those experiences.
What about that lizard woman?
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Or the short guy, the short soldier guy.
Oh yeah. The Sonoran. Yes.
Yeah.
The Potato Man. Yeah, there's been a lot of there's been this trend of companions being condescending, patronizing towards the Doctor. He's not very manly. It's like he's this incompetent buffoon, almost an accidental hero. That's been going on before Series 8. Like, they've made him into a Luke Skywalker or Harry Potter. I'm sorry. And some people are going to get really mad at them saying that, but Luke Skywalker and Harry Potter, they're both like heroes that didn't really do much. It was everybody around them that was kicking butt. Let's be honest.
Right.
If you look at them by themselves, they were terrible characters.
Yeah, like Hermione is like the main character of Harry Potter, I think. She's the one who always solves stuff.
Yep.
Harry Potter, like the biggest thing he ever did was be a baby and stand in the way of a magic bolt.
And get his nose broken.
I'm kidding. He did a lot more. He showed bravery in the face of danger. Blah, blah,
He
blah.
did, yeah. Same thing Luke Skywalker did, but as far as like skills and knowledge, wisdom, aptitude, not much of that.
Yeah, Harry Potter, by the way, isn't it? I love the theory that oh geez, what's his name? He's kind of the nerdy dude. He's kind of their nerdy friend that always bungs things up until the end. It turns out his grandmother was an Auror. Help me out here, guys. Neville.
Yeah.
Oh, Neville. Yeah, it was Neville Longbottom.
I love the theory that suggests the whole books were about him, and that Dumbledore just focused on Harry Potter so that everyone else would. But if you take a look at what Neville's done for that entire book, like he becomes like a super warrior, an awesome leader. He kills one of the main baddies. Sorry, spoiler, but they've been out for a while. But I want to almost go back and read them again, putting Neville as the main character, because I almost like that a little bit more.
Well, they said Neville. They got the prophecy wrong. Neville was actually the chosen one, but they assumed it was Harry Potter
because Dumbledore was making such a big deal about him. Kind of
yeah. That's I don't know if that's just fan speculation, if that's been rather substantiated, or if J.K. Rowling has been hinted at it. There's a lot of weird stuff though, like a lot of stuff that's come out after the fact, like how J.K. Rowling now says that Dumbledore was gay and he had the hots for Harry Potter. I'm like, oh, come on, stop it.
I'm absolutely not upset that a character's gay, but I was more upset that she's just going back and saying this when...
Right, like it wasn't in the story to begin with.
Why are we... Yeah, this adds nothing to the story. Why are you making that point?
So Dumbledore was a pedophile?
I don't think she said that.
Well, that's the conclusion.
Yeah, by extension, that's what happens, yeah.
That's kind of sick. So we've all been like giving our kids these stories about a pedophile?
Well, he does anything with them. I don't think he plays with their wands, if that's what you're suggesting.
Are you sure?
Oh, gosh, now we're going to a very dark place. It's all phallic symbols there. Gosh.
Yeah.
Did you know if you replace the word wand with that other word, it can be equally interesting?
That's a whole new rewriting we got to do someday.
I saw that someone did that on Facebook, and it was like, wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah. I'm sure there's so many fanfics of stuff going on that we don't even need to make it up. We just go to the internet and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wands at the ready, sir. Or wand at the ready. I don't know. All right, let's bring it back. I know I gotta get going soon, but that's kind of what I'm seeing, and but Series 8, the big issue is that the Doctor he's just really confused and lost, and he has some nice parts. Like, I think Peter Capaldi could be such a great Doctor, but they're writing him so bad.
Yeah.
And
what do you guys find bad about the writing? Because this is something that's bugging me. I just want to see your guys' impression.
For me, it's just the fact that they're trying too hard to make the companions more interesting than a Doctor. I feel like so much time is wasted with these side stories. They shouldn't even be part of the script. Like all this Danny Pink stuff and the romance there. I don't feel like it's adding any value to the immediate story, and I don't think it's going to add value to the long-term storytelling either. I really don't see that. If they took that out and focused more on each episode and made each episode stand out more on its own, then I could forgive some of the other things. It wouldn't be so bad. But maybe, perhaps in episode 7, what we're seeing with the whole Kill the Moon plot is he's finally getting the revelation that we wanted. The big thing that's gonna make him step up to the plate like he has before. So you'll have that sense of responsibility. I'm sorry, I have to say the word again, but
it's okay in this context. Don't worry.
All right, just making sure. I know the word has been tainted a bit, but I think he needs a sense of responsibility, some purpose, some direction, so that he's not just kind of rolling with the punches. That's what's missing, and he hasn't really been challenged. So because he hasn't been challenged, he can't evolve and become the hero that we've known him to be. That's the issue. Like all of these conflicts they've set up have been just they don't make me feel like there's a lot of urgency or like a real threat. Like, oh, this robot could destroy the entire world, with his arsenal, but he has terrible aim and he kind of moves around like a cheap toy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, what?
Yeah, that's true. Right? This is like you're supposed to fear this robot, but you can't really kill anyone in a school.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's like, you remember those old little toys? I said this before on our last show. He's like one of those like cheap toys they used to play with as a kid that they bump into the wall and then they just go somewhere else because that's the way they're set up too. Like they're just kind of derpy like that.
Yeah. Also, can I? I was really annoyed that the Doctor has an invisibility ability.
Oh gosh!
Because I'm like,
that was a fan thing.
Fan script.
They had a contest where a bunch of kids came up with ideas, but they didn't weave it into the story. No.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Way.
That wasn't because if they made that like that's canon now, he can become invisible.
Yeah,
I'm
much.
sure.
That's too much. He has a sonic screwdriver that does more than it should.
Well, I mean, already with time travel, your number one question is, why don't you just go back an hour and make sure this doesn't happen? But with an invisibility thing, you're like, why don't you just go back and be invisible and make sure none of this stuff ever happens?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of like fan contribution this season, and a lot of hands have been in the pot as well. Mm-hmm. So that'd be part of the issue as well. Everything feels like it's being haphazardly pieced together. So that's troublesome. But you know, I think as far as the time travel thing, they've made some rules that are believable enough that we could still stay immersed in the storytelling. I agree. If he had invisibility and other things like that, it'd be trouble. But he's kind of said like he can't go back in his own timeline.
She does every other episode.
Yeah, but they make enough rules. Like like just now in Kill the Moon, he said that when there's a major event, you know, he can't be involved in that. Like if it's a turning point in time, like even though it's a fixed point in time, the result isn't fixed.
I didn't get that part because I didn't get how it works in this show because many times in the past he's come back to his own timeline and changed everything.
Yeah.
And secondly, what does that mean? So, like, Clara was right. You know the moon exists. You know we still go out to space. So did it mean that if they made the wrong decision, that future would be rewritten?
They kind of made it seem like that way because when they were, when he was at when they were all at the beach, you saw that it suddenly like hit him, all the events to change. Like it rewrote his memory.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he looked up and he's kind of like, "Whoa, it's different."
Yeah, like it's all just downloaded into his brain. So
I'm okay with that. It's kind of sloppy, but I'm okay with that because it adds tension to these episodes. Because I'm always asking, like, well, obviously nothing bad happens because we've seen 1,000 years beyond here and humans still exist. So I appreciate that they try to make that tension exist by saying that stuff bad still can happen.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and also with like, if he travels all of time and space, eventually he's gonna come across some really cool gadgets, upgraded sonic screwdrivers or cloaking devices and things. And I'm willing to accept if he uses them briefly and maybe something happens that he loses technology or whatever. But then, you know, it's a slippery slope. You can say, oh, well, he can just go back to that time and then get it again. But you know, I think at this point we just have to kind of accept that if he makes repeat visits to the same place, exact time and space, you know, bad things can happen. You know,
I think after 50 years of Doctor Who, we just have to accept that each episode exists in its own little world and kind of almost forget what's possible and what's not possible and just understand that the episode has stakes.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like at this point fans need to just kind of let go of a lot of stuff, including me, because I'm very critical sometimes of the show in terms of like that shouldn't happen or that's easily avoidable.
And time travel is so hard to write for because,
oh my goodness, yeah.
You know, you would think it's the easiest narrative device, but then it's like you become a slave to all those rules. And you got to constantly remember, it's like, well, now I backed myself into a corner. He went back in time, but he can't go into the future because this will happen. Oh, how do I get him out of this situation?
Yeah. Does he know River's song? If she showed up, would she technically have a relationship with him since she's all throughout his timeline, right?
Yep. You know, I don't know if you guys noticed, they brought back an old little kind of convenient resolution, a convenient solution they had in the past. The DVDs, remember that?
No.
In episode, I think Blink was the first one they showed it, where if you had a DVD that worked with the TARDIS, it could bring the TARDIS back to the Doctor.
It's emergency system, yeah.
Yeah. So they referenced that again in this episode. So I thought that was cool that they're not completely abandoning those things that they used before, those devices they used before.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, I agree. There's going to be time when they're going to kind of renege on their rules and break some of them, or at least bend them a bit. And that's to be expected, 50-plus years of a series.
But that all said, Kill the Moon was probably my favorite episode of this season.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Just because it got back to Doctor Who being about high-concept, cool sci-fi stories.
Right.
And what's cooler than the moon being a friggin' egg of an alien? And this is why I love Doctor Who, for these stories, not when some random robot enters a school and bumbles around for an hour. I love these kind of moral dilemmas.
Yes. And it wasn't a robot story. Thank goodness.
Yeah. It wasn't a Dalek story either. There wasn't a big Dalek in the middle of the moon.
Yep. No, and we actually felt the tension. We felt the imminent threat. Mm-hmm. It was just overall. It was back to the basics, and I agree. I know Stan. We actually watched it together.
Sweet.
Which I know that's a weird concept to you, but we watched it together, and I had to actually lower him because his audio was OP. And then I don't know what he was doing. He started taking out a hammer and building stuff. And I was like, dude, come on, I'm trying to concentrate. He's like hammering away, kicking stuff. I mean, okay, muted. Freaking noob. But it was good. Like, afterwards, we got to share our immediate reactions while they're fresh. So that part was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, this is the first Doctor Who where I wasn't like, okay, might as well check my phone now. They're talking for the next 10 minutes. It felt, the pacing was good. The story was compelling. It had a lot of mystery to it. It built well. The actual concept was really neat. It's something I'd never heard of before, although the moon being an egg is a concept I think other authors have tried to do before. But yeah, it felt like Doctor Who to me.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
And I think overall, one of the strengths in this series has been the dialogue. I think the dialogue has been very smart. My problem is that they don't do stuff. They don't do stuff with it. So just being clever alone is no good. Right?
That's okay. Yeah, sorry, I mouth farted then. Because the dialogue's good, but they don't do anything with it. You're right.
Yeah.
There'll be scenes where they just talk at each other, and it's kind of quippy. But then you're like, is there a purpose to the scene?
Yeah.
Other than the writers being like, see what I can do on page.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
they try so hard to be funny.
Yeah, it falls flat a lot. Like that whole Doctor running joke about, oh, he's the PE teacher. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're like a 5-year-old with that joke right now.
Racism.
They definitely they pushed that one too hard. It was cute at first, and then it's like, all right, we got the point.
Yeah.
He's a soldier, and so he's supposed to be a PE teacher. Or maybe because he's black, he's supposed to be a good athlete. We get it. Whatever. Move on.
Yeah, that was a weird turn. A racist Doctor sentiment. Like, don't you know millions of species and how it's useless to be racist in your position? Like, That doesn't make any sense. So, and that's another thing. It feels like this Doctor can be anything the writers want him to be. At one point he can be bumbling and silly, the next he can be over serious, the next he can be over analytical, the next he's not thinking at all. So it seems like he's just very much like an empty husk that the writers kind of fill per episode.
Again, I feel like they've passed the script writing along to different people. With that, It feels like these writers, they're competent, but they haven't sat together to share their vision at the same time. Yeah.
There's consistency issues between the Doctors per episode. Going back to that school one again. Remember, the very first scene he comes in as the janitor, I'm the new janitor, blink. I'm like, is this a sitcom now? Is that what Doctor Who is? It's like a weird sitcom? It felt tonally different. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is what we're watching now.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of that. They've redeemed themselves with this episode.
Yeah, they really did.
There were still a few parts where I'm cringing at the writing. They try to make Courtney really clever at times, and then sometimes it's just like, okay, stop. When she wrote the thing about Thingy Thing, and she went on the moon for the first time, it's like,
right.
I claimed this thingy thing for the thingy thing, whatever she said. That line.
That was horrible.
That line made me want to kill myself. It was so bad. I was like, no, stop it.
Yeah.
But when she said that kills 99% of all germs, I thought that was a little more clever. So that, all right. Just don't. They try too hard sometimes.
Did you like them running around the moon with like a Windex? I'm like, what? Okay. I know gravity's gone, but are we throwing all signs out of the window right now? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it tickled me, so that I didn't get mad at that part.
All right.
When they try too hard, I think that's the problem. They try too hard to build the grandness of everything and be clever, but then at the same time, the doctor's kind of derpy. He's like, I've been through all the time in space, but I can't figure out how to work this alarm clock. You know,
the problem, I think, because when the writing's good, it's good, and that's how you can tell it's good. That doesn't make any sense, I know. But when the writing's good, it's very noticeable. When it's bad, it's very noticeable. And an example of that is like in the Listen episode, where they're first in that room, and there's that thing on the bed behind them. It spends way too much time them just going back and forth talking. Like, any tension that's built in that scene, for me, was just slowly faded away because they've spent so much time going back and forth about don't look at him, don't look. It felt sometimes like the writers just they don't know how to leave a moment. They don't know just how to like use fewer words to kind of tell a scene. It seems like they're always just erring on the side of like, let's just cram as much dialogue as we can into this scene. Does that make sense to you guys? Am I
yeah, I kind of see that. I think with Listen, the biggest issue was that they built it up so well, and then it fell flat. Like there was tension there. There was a wonderful premise. It could have been so much more, and then it was kind of like
they ran out of steam with the concept. I felt like
it was cheap. It was kind of like ending a story with, and it was all a dream. The end. What?
Yeah, that's why I said on my Facebook, social media again. There you go, Stan. See, I do put stuff on my Facebook.
Yes, you do.
That's why I said on my Facebook. Sometimes I feel like Doctor Who would benefit from being a half-hour show because it would force the storytellers to tell a more concise story and not to meander into weird just moments of cheap laughs and stuff like that, but to really tell a solid story. Because sometimes I feel these episodes are like, you get to a point like, okay, I guess what else happens? All right, I guess he goes away for 3 days and we got to talk or something.
And it used to be a half-hour show, and then it always ended like in a cliffhanger, and each story arc would be like 3 to 5 episodes, each mini story, and then it'd be the overarching story.
That's know, cool. Yeah.
That's the way it used to be, so maybe they have to go back to that, though. I have to say I'm spoiled now. It's like the hour-long of content. It's like, oh, that's great. 30 minutes, it's like with commercials, you're not going to get much content, and you're going to feel a void. So it's like, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. But yeah, I agree. They need to have some kind of sense of urgency, or I think they just mean someone to be a dedicated showrunner and not be writing and producing at the same time. At least Moffat can't handle it. He's written great stories. Blink is an amazing story from Series 3. But, when they need someone that's objective and a little more detached from the story and can say, look, this scene is not working. It doesn't add anything to it. If I take it out, the story still keeps going. So obviously it's not necessary. We need something that adds value or keeps this idea going along and reinforces the themes.
Okay,
that's what I'm missing.
Give me Kill the Moon like every week, and I'm happy. I just like it's not even that. It's not even the best show in the whole series, but it was the best show of this season because it was Doctor Who. It was back to form for me.
I feel like the next 2 or 3 episodes will be good because Moffat's not co-writing them.
Let's not diss Moffat too much. We owe a lot to Moffat, but I understand. I think he's a little stretched thin.
He is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's not. Yeah. He's done wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
But he needs to be more focused. So with having someone else focus on the story and he has the overall vision of where he wants the story to end up, then he could piece it all together and make it more seamless. That's what I think needs to happen.
That's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
Because he says he already has most, if not all, of Series 9 written.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In several interviews he said that. So obviously he has some direction in mind, but I think that they need to have people come in with these stories and make them stand alone on their own 2 feet individually, episodically, and then he comes in and puts the little Easter eggs and the breadcrumb trail that leads up to where he ultimately wants to go. That's what's missing. But so we could agree that Doctor Who's regaining its stride at least.
Hopefully it's not just a randomly they got it right again.
They got like a one-off, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, it's seasons before I used to like, oh, okay, good, I can download it. It's the day after, but now I'm like, I'll get around to downloading it sometime this week.
I think they tried to do too much right off the bat with
Stand
this
back?
season.
I'm back.
There
okay,
we go.
Good. Okay, good. I can finally say for real. Yeah, I'll let you guys continue because you guys got some really good stuff generating here. But I hear the Bradford clan upstairs chanting my name. No, I just want to thank you guys. It's sorry if I talked your guys' ears off.
No.
It's a good environment for just kind of shooting the crap. So I appreciate that.
That's what we're here for.
Right.
Yeah.
I can pontificate.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Ah, there you go.
Do you have any plugs before
Did I
you
use
leave?
that right? Plugs. I guess. I don't know.
Did you use it right? I don't know. No, I like the word proliferate, and I like to use it out of context.
Well, I've got a responsibility to my listeners. That's kidding.
Good callback. Good callback.
I'm
Well played,
no,
sir.
But I do promote, so I will promote. ZombieCast, 8 o'clock, All Games Network, and then download us anywhere you can get podcasts. And the same with VGOs, 9 o'clock on All Games Network. And yeah, I'm just doing a little writing for Zombie Research Society now, so go check that out if you want. And there you go.
Send us your links, man. Put those links out there.
I will link it up. I've taken away from this podcast that I can probably do more in that regard. So I have learned. I've got to take away.
And your friends will help you, like me and Yomar.
Exactly.
So you put it out there, and we'll spread it out there further. And that's how social media is supposed to work.
It's like so much work.
It's not.
I know. I'm just being
when we're all helping each other, it's no work at all.
There you go. You should make a T-shirt with that on it.
There you go.
You guys are gentlemen and scholars, and you got a good show here. So thanks so much.
Man,
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
Matt.
Yeah, likewise, guys.
It is, bro.
Bye.
OP. Oh, OP.
The OP goodbyes.
Is that it? Did he leave?
Yep, he's gone.
Oh, yeah, there you go. The Penguins OP.